Jeff McNeil has finally been traded to the Athletics for a 17-year-old kid from Cuba who played in the DSL. Crazy. Mets are sending money. Jeff McNeil's no longer on this team. We're going to talk about it just as a player, as a person, a lot of things. There's connections to this podcast for Jeff McNeil. I'm sure some of you at home watching this are jumping for joy. I'm sure some of you are pulling your hair out going, what is this team doing? How can we get rid of Jeff McNeil? There's a lot to talk about here. Before we do, make sure you do subscribe. Classic us drop an episode on Monday. David Stern, selfish. Couldn't wait till Tuesday to give us the news. Had to make sure we double upload today. But that's what we're doing for you guys. James, when you saw the trade, when you saw the news, what did you think?
It's like you said, finally. It felt like the Mets have been trying to trade Jeff McNeil this whole offseason. It felt like everybody in the Mets community was kind of collectively waiting for the Mets to trade Jeff McNeil. It was kind of like, if you're going to trade all these other guys, like, what's Jeff McNeil still doing here? And based on the way this trade going down, receiving a 17-year-old DSL pitcher and kicking in almost $6 million and then agreeing to pay the $2 million buyout if Jeff's option is not exercised next year, this was we are getting rid of this guy by any means necessary. And this was truthfully just a team that was willing to take him.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal now for the A's if you think about it from their perspective.
No, not at all.
From the Mets, they did pay the A's to take him away again for a 17-year-old Cuban who signed last year and just started playing professional baseball. He was born in 2008. I believe that's like the same year that Brandon Nimmo was drafted.
I think the year before Brandon Nimmo was drafted by the Mets. Also, 2 minutes ago from Francis Romero, with Jeff McNeil gone, the Mets are believed to be exploring Ketel Marte, or at least discussing him in trade talks.
I don't think those two are related because Marcus
so
Semion's still the second baseman. Listen, I'll
Whatever.
take Ketel Marte. Not important right now.
Happily, not important. It just happened on Twitter, so it's fine. But it's this is a continuation of what this offseason has been, which was everything changing. We're getting rid of every single player from the stench of the old world. I'm not even saying the old world like the 2025 Mets. Jeff McNeil was the second guy left on this active roster with any connection to the Wilpon-owned Mets. Now, the last one is David Peterson, who debuted in 2020. Still didn't get a foothold in the league for years after that. I think it was just a chaos that year. But we've now had the 4 longest tenured Mets all just gotten rid of, whether by free agency or trade, in a month.
Yeah, and there's a very good chance that David Peterson might not be on this team either come opening day. It's one of those moves where Jeff McNeil's valuable, but on this team, along with what possibly could be the problems with him and Francisco Lindor, that they've now had multiple altercations with each other. We remember the rat versus raccoon. We heard after the Philly game that they got at it. Probably just wasn't a good fit. And on a team now that has Marcus Semien, who is going to play better defensive second base. And while I think McNeil's a better hitter, there's a world where they could end up being the same hitter in 2026. I don't think anyone would be surprised. Along with bringing in Jorge Polanco, who is going to be first base DH, but could play second base if you need him to. Jeff just kind of didn't have a spot on this team, and something that has been talked about, it seems like every offseason since David Stearns has been here, is possibly moving off Jeff McNeil in that contract. You mentioned it's the old garb of a Wilpon guy, too, with McNeil. Also, it's a Billy Epler guy, too. Billy Epler gave him that contract, and he's gone.
It's funny to think about that Billy Epler offseason where, again,
almost nobody from Billy Epler stuff is still here, because even the prospects that Billy Epler traded for, some of them are gone.
It also doesn't look like many of them are going to get big time chances to do anything, except Ryan Clifford. Ryan Clifford's going to be the jewel from the Billy Epler era, but like you had a season where it was an objective failure. Like, you won a bunch of games, you choked, you collapsed against the Braves, and you fell apart against the Padres. And you're like, every single guy get a big extension. Now, every single one of those extensions is off this team. The 3 being Edwin Diaz, Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo. It's I don't know, it's a lot to take in. But the second the Marcus Semien trade happened, there was a 5% chance Jeff McNeil was going to be on this team opening day?
It would have been weird because the role would have been starting left fielder. And as much as I love Jeff as a player and a dude, like, I don't feel the greatest with this Mets roster having Jeff McNeil playing every single day in left field.
Especially easy to forget Jeff McNeil's coming off thoracic outlet surgery. So I don't know how that affects hitters, but I'm sure, we know how it affects pitchers. So I'm sure it would affect a guy like Jeff McNeil's arm in the outfield. That wasn't the best arm ever to begin with anyway. But this is now this is a clear indication there is a lot of additions that, again, keep saying it, but like now, especially even without Jeff, like we now have kind of 6 position players, guaranteed position players that are going to be on this team in this lineup opening day. Truthfully, like 6 is also that's with Polanco, that's Semien, that's Soto, that's Lindor, that's Alvarez, that's Beatty. That's without Vientos.
Right now, this Mets bench, with Carson Benj in the lineup and Tyrone Taylor in the lineup, has Ronnie Mauricio, Luis Angel Acuna, and Jared Young on the bench. Mark Vientos is in the lineup in this one every single day. Like, there's a lot of holes to fill, and as weird as it sounds for a team that had a lot already, they kind of had to make another one here with Jeff.
Yeah, it felt like it was kind of that time. And I don't know. I still like Jeff. I still think Jeff can be a good baseball player.
I think he will be. I think he's going to be great out there.
He'll probably have a near 800 OPS, probably
Close
20
to 20
homers.
homers, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in his Mets career, when it's all said and done, there were huge peaks and huge valleys, but you had almost an 800 OPS. Like, this was a guy who was objectively a good hitter and a good player for a long time. Jeff McNeil was playing center field last year.
Yeah, like, that's sick.
Think about that for a second. But I do think that there was a bit of this where it probably did run its course. Like, we're trying to change the culture, the attitudes in this clubhouse. I understand a guy like Jeff maybe, just sometimes it didn't really fit with some of the other guys that much. How else can I say that diplomatically?
I mean, when you have like Lindor, who's, I don't want to say happy-go-lucky, but like is a little bit looser of a player where like, okay, there's going to be ups and downs in the season. There's going to be times where things go right and go well. I think at times for teammates, it probably does get a little bit old when Jeff lines out to the second baseman for the second time in a game and comes in and smashes his helmet and freaks out. Like we've always talked about that. We love that McNeil is so fucking crazy when he plays and is insane. But like the little bit of the red ass that he does have every once in a while probably runs old over a 162 when your team's not winning.
Especially when things are going bad like they were. And it's just like over and over again this happens. It's kind of sad that the best ball that Jeff McNeil's played in the last few years was down the second half of 2024. And then he got hurt and he wasn't able to be a part of that run, which is kind of funny too. Like that was the best he was hitting. And I think you and I also have just a different relationship with Jeff McNeil because you're literally like friendly with him.
Yeah.
Like during the pandemic, you guys became friends. I met him on FaceTime. Then we got the job at the Mets. He hugged us on the field like the first day we were out there with our press passes. So it's like there's probably a little soft spot in our hearts more so for Jeff McNeil because it seems like the overwhelming reaction from Mets fans is jubilation on the internet.
Yeah, from a team building perspective, I get it. Like I can understand it. I'm not upset any of that, but like I would be lying if I didn't say like it sucks. Like Jeff was extremely nice to me. He wanted to stream on Twitch during COVID because everybody did. I like replied to a tweet of his being like, "Hey, I can help you set things up." Did, and then like you mentioned, James, like me and James used to be roommates. We used to live together in Astoria. I'm sitting on the couch, we're watching TV, like watching whatever we are. All of a sudden, I'm like, Jeff McNeil is FaceTiming me. And I like answer, I'm like, hey, he's like, what are you doing? Like sitting on the couch, man. What are you up to? We're like,
I was like, what's up, Jeff?
Yeah, I showed James, like, we're at a bar. He would like shoot me a text, like, man, like, I hate this shit. Like, whatever's going on in the game. He's like, the COVID rules, it sucks. It's so hard. It's different playing baseball. Played MLB The Show with him. Genuinely just one of the nicest guys. And James even mentioned it. Like, when we got Mets'd up with the Mets, like when they took us on, we walked onto the field. I go to Jeff and James goes to Jeff to go congratulate him for having a baby. He comes up to us first, gives us a hug. He's like, so happy for you guys, like the podcast. That's so cool. What a nice fucking guy. Even when we interviewed him in the batting cages, it was like it was a point of contention because I always told the people like, I'm friends with this guy. I can go up and talk to him. They're like, let us go through the proper channels to get him on the podcast. He sees us like, oh, he's like excited to come on.
What's up, fellas?
Yeah, what's up, fellas? Really just a very good dude. The ups and downs, like you mentioned, were tough, and people had gotten tired of Jeff McNeil. But I also remember the good times where people loved Jeff McNeil. If you would have told people in like 2021, 2022 that you wanted Jeff McNeil traded from this team, they would have been, what are you, an idiot? Are you stupid?
I mean, we're going to be paying him to play against us. Again, last year, got played 34 games center field last year, but he's I don't know. Like, you think back at that year when he won the batting title in 2022, and then we interviewed Buck Showalter after that, and he was like, I'm really worried how Jeff's going to prepare, and we had to cut it out because the Mets cut it out of our podcast. They were like, I'm really worried about Jeff McNeil playing without the shift this year. That was really something he relied upon. We were like, why are you telling us this right now? But
and then what's so funny is when we talked to Jeff, he was like, I like pulling the ball. Like, I like pulling the baseball. That's when I'm at my best. So if you ever heard us talk about Jeff McNeil's got to get back to pulling the ball, that's why we would say it.
And I think, again, like we'll talk about the return for the Mets in this, which, again, it's a young DSL pitcher. Jeff McNeil is a good fit for this A's team right now.
Great
like,
fit.
For the A's, a team that probably wanted the second baseman but didn't really want to pay for one, wanted the veteran hitter but didn't want to pay for one. The fact that the Mets are going to pay down Jeff McNeil and you get to pay him less than $10 million a year, bench players, like bench veterans, don't even make that much money.
Well, looking at like how the Mets could fill in this Jeff McNeil role, because that role is valuable to this Mets team. It would be nice to have a guy who could play infield positions along with the outfield in a pinch if you needed it, and that's what Jeff did, who was a league average to 10% league average better than a hitter. You could pencil him in for that. Finding that on the open market or on the trade thing, not going to be the easiest. Like, there aren't a lot of players that fit that role, and that part sucks.
Truthfully, I just don't think you get someone to fill that role. Like, I think I think unless Luis Angel Acuna gets better and can fill that role, or unless you want to give Jet Williams a shot to fill that role, I think I don't think there's an external player that fills that role. Unless like
Zach McKinstry, but I don't think the Tigers are trading him. Like that's like the comp kind of.
Like the Francis Romero report, like Ketel Marte theoretically could play second base and outfield. Like Ketel Marte could give you some left field. But again, that's a pipe dream right now. It's just good for us. It's going to be a fun January. Usually January is a pretty dead month for baseball content, but I think we're going to have a lot of player movement because, again, right now, Lindor, Soto, Semien, Polanco, Beatty, Alvarez, every single other spot in the lineup on the team is pretty up for grabs at the moment.
And we're not really sure where Polanco's actually going to even play.
And I don't think we're anywhere close to done with any of this stuff. There still has to be the expectation of a trade.
At least one trade, probably.
As different as this team looks right now compared to the end of the season, we're going to have similar amounts of differences between the way this team looks right now and how it looks on opening day.
Well, it's the funny thing that me and you have kind of always said about this team, as much as people want to talk about like pitching. There's no ace, the pitching stinks, blah, blah, blah. And pitching did let us down towards the end of the year. I look at this roster still in the offseason. I go, the offense is by far the biggest concern right now of this entire team.
Francisco Lindor just put up his first training video, doing field work somewhere.
3 minutes after the trade gets announced.
It seems like it seems like those guys might have hated each other. The second it happened, the Semien trade was like, all right, there's no way this guy's going to be on the team. Of course,
and then they signed Polanco, and then you just hear about you.
But in the Polanco press conference today, despite some crazy lines of questioning from some of the Mets reporters, Polanco revealed that the Mets told him the plan was first DH, and then the last auxiliary position will be third base.
Okay, all right.
So I don't think he's a guy to play second base. But I still think that means there is room for other second base options on the roster.
I mean, I guess I give you another second base option on the roster.
Who?
Name rhymes with Beatty. Brett Beatty played second base last year. They probably just go, if we need Semien to have a day off, Brett Beatty goes to second, Polanco to third. That's got to be what they're thinking.
I think so, yeah. Or again, just keeping the door open for anything. The Mets are blessed right now. Where you could basically add a player that plays any position on the field. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Are you a warm body and you're better than Luis Angel Acuna or Jared Young? Guess what? You're on the major league roster.
Yeah, you could get any veteran right now who's playing anywhere but shortstop. There's no shortstops available. So the world is our oyster still, but we keep going in the wrong direction of accumulated players and not the right direction. How many more players think get added to this active roster before opening day?
Ooh, okay. Let me see. So you mentioned that there's 6 legitimate. I think the guys that are hitting, I'm just going to count through the roster. That's how I'm going to know. So we got Lindor, Semien, Soto, Polanco, Beatty, Alvarez. Those guys are not going anywhere. I think those 6 are guarantees. Then McLean, Holmes, 2 of the Manaea, Peterson, Senga conglomerate. So let's put us at 10. And then in the bullpen, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, Minter, Raley is 14. Huascar Brazoban's 15.
He's got the option.
He does have the option. There's about 10 open spots that are going to be pretty fluid on this roster. I think the Mets have to bring in at least 7 guys minimum.
And AJ Minter will be on the IL on opening day.
Okay, so yeah, there's so many guys. Oh my god!
So we still have about half of an active roster. We played this game in the podcast that came out to you guys this morning about if we could make 4 moves. I don't know. It's still
outfield. It's still outfield.
These are famous last words, but it does feel like there's going to be some way, shape, or form that there's a big outfielder on this team on opening day.
Has to be somebody.
Kind of like there has to be, especially when you had this Steve Cohen tirade the other day being like, people are talking about payroll, they don't really know. So that seems like an indication that the payroll will be on par with where it's been, which is one of the highest payrolls in the league, north of $325 million.
Got an extra $10 million to spend, so
yeah, exactly. I mean, we're paying Jeff McNeil to play against us again. Don't want to leave this without talking about the return, Yordan Rodriguez, but
there's also just not that much out there on him.
No, he's a 17-year-old with a good frame, so I think just you want to get him into our pitching lab and see if you can turn him into a potential future starter. I got a report from a prospect guy I know in a Discord that he's got a low 90s fastball, but I think they can add more. There's a respectable changeup and a curve. It just, it looks like a pitcher. It's give us anything for this amount of money. If you want us to kick in this much money, this is the group of prospects that we want. That was kind of the way the haggling probably goes down for a move like this.
Do you want to hear something crazy about how young this prospect is? Mm-hmm. He was born after the first iPhone was invented. 2007 was the first iPhone. The Amazon Kindle, the iPod Touch, Twitter and Facebook, I think, launched in 2007. The final book of the Harry Potter series came out in 2007, and we just traded Jeff McNeil away for a prospect that's that age. One of the best case scenarios is that we don't see, what's his name, Yordan Rodriguez, in the majors for 6 years.
Yeah, it's probably a realistic outcome at least.
There's a good chance 2030 might be the fastest he could make it to the majors.
Actually, yeah. I mean, again, that's not really the point of this. The point of this is that the Mets wanted Jeff McNeil off their team, basically by any means necessary. Seems like they were waiting around for the last few months saying, if someone's willing to take Jeff McNeil, you can have him.
Yeah. And they found
this was
their
the
home
first team that was willing to take him.
that we know of. Well, Yordan Rodriguez, real quick. I think he throws like low 90s. Again, it's hard to tell because, again, he's a junior in high school. So he probably can throw harder as he becomes an actual adult.
That's good. Yeah, puberty will be kind to him.
Can't buy cigarettes, right? You got to be 18 to do that.
Per Baseball America, he was a part of their top 20 pitching prospects in the last IFA class.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, why not? I think he got a signing bonus of $400K.
Yeah, $400K. Yeah, this trade was not about the return. This trade was about getting rid of Jeff McNeil. And again, I think that of a similar ilk, we've had this kind of same feeling about Kodai Senga.
Yes.
He seems like he might also get traded. Maybe there's some way to do a need for need with Kodai Senga to get a major league player back and
Maybe
not
an outfielder.
Not a teenager.
That could be the Senga for Ramon Laureano, maybe.
Maybe. I would do that, but there's so much work left to be done with this roster.
Yeah, if me and James don't have the reaction you guys were hoping for, sorry. We're
not going to pretend to be like, I got rid of a player.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's just no way we were reacting to that, to news that we knew was going to happen at any point this offseason.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just this. It's first we've got 15 minutes out of this. I don't even know what else there is to say.
No, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to Mets'd, not just on YouTube, but on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google. Drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Draft Nick Mark. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you all later this week for another video. See ya.
Yeah. See you guys. Merry Christmas.